The way that your vehicle was located,
Yeah.
I'll have to write you a ticket for improper U-turn. Whenever you complete a U-turn,
I didn't U-turn.
hold on. Whenever you complete a U-turn, you're supposed to be as far to that corner as possible. I don't think that you're understanding what I'm saying here, okay?
I understand. I told you.
Okay.
How many cars?
We are done, sir? No.
Okay, it's not like the cop needs to hear him out, though it would be nice. He's not even giving him the chance to like explain himself. This is just an ordinary old man. All this guy wants to do is figure out if he was actually at fault. He has the opportunity just to look over the road and look at the intersection and see if he really did make the mistake. But the cop's not really allowing him to do that.
One, we are not arguing about this, okay?
I want to show you.
We argue in court. We argue in court.
You take the phone and...
We argue in court.
No,
we don't argue on the side of the road. We argue in court. Yes, that's how it works. Because if not, if you don't sign this, you go to jail. Okay?
Yeah,
I don't want to take you to jail.
I'm ready to go to jail.
You ready to go to jail?
Yeah.
Ridiculous. Okay, that involves impounding your car too.
Yeah.
Okay.
You see that two car?
Yeah, that's what you're supposed to do.
I am the
The way
car.
where
I'm the
your
top
vehicle
car.
was located, your
Top
vehicle is
car.
not like that.
Sit down.
No.
So telling a police officer to shut up, probably not the best decision. I mean, he is 7 years old. He should probably know that. But also, I can understand the fact that he's probably frustrated that the cop hasn't even let him like say his piece or anything like that. The cop's not hearing him out. I would imagine that there's probably a bit of ageism that this individual has to deal with on a regular basis. And so I can understand the frustration of not being heard, but telling a police officer to shut up, probably pushing it. There's a difference between pushing it and going way too far. And that's what the police officer does right after.
You sit up. Get on the ground.
The cop throws him to the ground. It doesn't look that bad from the body cam angle, but they show an alternative angle from either a shop nearby or something like that, and it looks so much worse.
Now.
No.
You sit up. Get on the ground.
It's tough to watch. I'm watching this imagining like my grandmother get thrown to the ground from a police officer. Like this is somebody's dad, somebody's grandpa that just got thrown to the ground by a police officer. It's so crazy. The police officer then proceeds to cuff the guy. Are you kidding me? Not for 1 second has this poor 70-year-old man imposed a serious threat on this officer. Sure, he got a little frustrated, but you can imagine why. Probably some ageism going on, not being heard, the officer's not hearing him out. Sure, anyone would be frustrated by that. And the thing that ticks off the officer is a little, bro, just a little back of the hand tap. And this guy gets thrown on the ground. It's hard not to get frustrated watching that because it's like, it's so unnecessary, blatantly unnecessary. And when you watch it, you can just it's one thing to bring someone to the ground, but like this officer 360 WWE body slams this poor guy. It looks horrible. The way the guy falls, it looks like his face scrapes against the ground in some ways. He probably hit his head pretty hard. And like, because his arms are tied behind his back, I'm sure his chest feels terrible too. Like, old people's skin is so fragile, man. I don't know if you know that. And the worst part is their skin doesn't heal all that well at that age. Their body is past healing. They're like, for someone to heal from that kind of damage at that age is honestly very impressive, because I guarantee those kind of marks that either are being left on his face or his chest are permanent for the rest of his life, just because there is no healing that at that age. I can't wrap my head around why a police officer deems it necessary to use that much force on a 70-year-old man. The cop looks young. He looks to be in his probably early to late 30s. He's like at his peak strength in his entire life and is brutally attacking a Vietnamese 7-year-old man. Like that's crazy. This was in Oklahoma, and the police officer's name is Joseph Gibson, who originally attended the scene for a traffic violation, or it looks like to be potentially a collision. If it is a collision, that would make sense why there's some heat in the interaction. The crazy part is this old man said, "I'm ready to go to jail." This man was ready to put it all on the line. I don't know how bad the collision was, or maybe he's been to prison before, or maybe he's just done. Maybe like, because I know lots of old people that are just like, I hope this is my last birthday. Yeah. This old man probably pulls off a bad U-turn, gets hit, his car gets hit, he gets police on scene, and then for no good reason gets thrown to the ground. He wasn't even the one that caused the accident. The other driver got the ticket. Here's the really messed up part. This guy has bone cancer. And not only that, but the injuries he received from this beatdown are terrible. He had to go to surgery for a brain bleed, and he was treated for a fractured neck, which leaves him eating from a tube. Even after a few days, he was still in and out of consciousness. Like, this guy got probably concussed, got a brain bleed, and his neck fractured. That is crazy. So, rightfully, the family of this old man is accusing the police officer of using excessive force, and an internal investigation is going on inside the police department. For right now, all that has happened to this police officer is he's been put on administrative leave. That's it. You mean to tell me that this police officer basically assaults a 70-year-old man with bone cancer, leaving him with permanent injuries, and all he gets is administrative leave? How does that make any sense? There was no reason, regardless of who it was, to take that level of physical force to the person. Doesn't matter if it was Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. That person did not deserve that, and this cop needs to be fired, at the very least. I mean, that's basically assault, so like, they should be charged for that as well. And what do they mean by investigation? I mean, it's all on footage. Everyone can see it. What do they have internally that would change that? Nothing. The medical costs associated with those injuries must be pretty high. I could totally see this guy suing the police department over his medical expenses, at least. But also, it would have to be more than that, because like, they're permanent. That's the permanent damage, in my opinion. Not just to the external, but also the internal. Like, a brain bleed is no joke, and a fractured spine or neck is also no joke, especially at that age. Yikes. Clearly, de-escalation and conflict management is not in the cops' vocabulary. If and when this is reviewed by an oversight board and or the court, I don't see this ending in the officer's favor. I fully agree. I think this should be seen in a court. This is ridiculous. I back the blue. That being said, how much of a threat is an unarmed 70-year-old man? No need to slam him to the ground. That whole comment is a contradiction on itself. How could you possibly back the blue while stating that everything he did was excessive and wrong? It just doesn't make sense to me. This comment has the most likes on this article as well, which I don't understand. Are people really that stupid? Okay, so while I don't think it's the right thing to do, I can see an argument to be made that the officer needed to take control of the situation because the old man clearly was frustrated. Again, de-escalation is their job, and that was nowhere to be seen. All the guy wanted was to be heard, and the officer wasn't even giving him a chance to do that. This also introduces another line of thinking for me, which is that very few people these days actually examine the nuance. This individual is blindly backing the blue, even though he knows that the actions the officer took were wrong and excessive. I think it's important for people to look at each circumstance individually and determine an opinion for themselves about what is right and wrong. And every circumstance, every situation is different and should be treated differently. To just blindly agree with something or someone or some group or some ideology just because is not a good enough answer. We need to think. We need to use our brains. That's what they're here for, okay? I wish the absolute best for this old man. Drop a like. I'll see you in the next video.